Good evening and welcome. It feels like an eternity since I've been on a webinar, but it's only been 2 weeks. So say hello in the chat if you're watching. We're just going to do the checks to make sure you're visible across LinkedIn, Facebook, and all these different channels. But we're going to be talking business development. We're going to be talking Sales Navigator and giving you some practical tips on both the implementation and the strategy behind how you use LinkedIn's biggest B2B asset. So if you're joining us tonight, please let us know in the chat. Let us know where you are. Hi, Helena. Do let us know where you're from. Andrew Poole, awesome. And we'll start in maybe 1 minute. We'll just let everybody find us from all the various different links, and then we'll get going. So you are going to see a strategy tonight that works effectively across all B2B industries. It is a B2B strategy and it is Sales Navigator. So I'm going to do some theory. I'm going to give you an overview, and then we're going to dig into some of the practical tactics you can do. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Dana. Hi, Kieran. Hi, David. From Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire. Natalie from Kent. Krish, this is going to be recorded, but if you want to email us, I'll put our email on screen. And then if you want to email us, we'll send you the recording tomorrow. Also, during tonight's session, I'm going to share some resources that are free to help you get started. If you want any of them, again, you can email us there. Hopefully I got that right. Yep, there. So drop us an email. Whatever you do, don't in the chat, don't put your email address in the chat because we can't follow up anybody who needs any information there. Hi, Mike from California. Hi, Vasco. Hi, Bogdan. Hi, somebody from Florida. So we've got a good crowd from all over tonight. Joe Smart from Plymouth. Greatest city on earth. Joe, tonight I can't disagree with you at all because I'm in Plymouth too. So I'm broadcasting from Plymouth, and Samantha from Exeter, just down the road. I know there's the Plymouth-Exeter tension, but you're close enough, so we're good. Hi, Jonathan. Long time no see. Last time I saw you was in Oxford. So Girish from London, Sam from Buckinghamshire, Heather, hello, and we're going to start 1 more minute. We'll just let everybody get in. Somebody from Kosovo, Mexico, Mumbai, India, awesome. People from all over. Arizona, Derek from Arizona. So just some housekeeping for tonight. I'm going to go through some training sessions. As we go, I'm going to check in with the questions, and I'm going to try and answer questions as we go. If I don't answer your question as we go, at the end, I'll give an opportunity for questions too. Dan from Bristol, hello, and Paula from Edinburgh, and Matthew from Johannesburg. So, and Krish from Birmingham. Brilliant. So there's lots of people here, and Nigel from Worthing, and Cristobal from Buenos Aires. Awesome. So just let me set the scene as we get going. If you want notepad and pens, I'll put resources. I'll give you some free resources which you can, I'm getting better at this, get from there. Just email us and we'll send it out to you. Sales Navigator, brilliant tool, probably one of the best B2B databases that's as real time as you can get. But to be honest with you, where most people fall down is they actually stop there. And in my northern way, and for those of you outside of the UK, I am the blunt version of the British. There's the polite British, I'm the blunt British. When people go onto LinkedIn, they lose their head. They forget they're selling to human beings, and so they behave in this weird way that either gets them blocked or banned or burns prospects and leads. So just before we dive in, I'm just going to say hello to everybody again, just to let you know. Thank you for joining us. You're on the Business Development with Sales Navigator webcast tonight. Any questions, we'll put an email on screen as we go. You can send them through. Any resources we give, you can put them on screen too. We'll put the email address on screen too. And chat will be, if you put your questions in the chat, we will get all of them answered as quickly as we can. If you've never been to our training, I just said I'm the blunt northerner, the northern British, where the polite people are in the south. I'm the north, the ones that no frills, a bit rough around the edges. But I founded Maverrik in 2014 as a no-nonsense consultancy business, which actually grew and grew and grew. There's 40 people now, I think, on working for Maverrik in America, in London, in Plymouth. And we're focused on social selling. So we've got a big vision and a big mission to help 1 million businesses grow, support 1 million businesses grow. One of the ways we do this is through the free training. And yes, we do work with clients, but tonight is not about, you know, selling, buy now, all our stuff. It's about giving and working towards helping that 1 million. Yes, of course, some of you will contact us and say, can you help me? And that's cool. But tonight I want to leave you with some basic stuff you can go to help prospect, get conversations and get meetings booked with clients. You don't need any automation. So you can bin any thought of automation because it doesn't work. And you can literally go away from this and start conversations. It won't be perfect, but you'll have a way that you can develop conversations and get meetings with prospects tomorrow. You can do this tomorrow with Sales Navigator. So just so that you know who I am, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm a real person. You can see me. I post on there. You can message me if you want to. You can follow me. You can connect with me. All of those things, I am there doing what I say I do. So I practice what I preach, and the reason why we are so successful at helping people is because all of our team, all of our own salespeople, everybody has to do what we say. They are banned from cold calling. They have to follow our own methodologies to actually sell themselves. So I think that separates us apart because there's a lot of people who teach stuff that don't actually do it. We actually live and breathe what we teach. Okay, so a few weeks ago, I put this survey up, and I'll move back so you can see it. What's the biggest struggle with Sales Navigator? So the top answer was actually getting meetings booked. I'm going to answer that tonight. The second top answer was how do I find prospects, which is the search features and finding people. Then it was, what do I do with prospects? What do? I don't know what I'm doing. And then finally, it's emails and messaging. I'm going to give you tips, practical tips that will improve all 4 of those areas tonight. So that's the success line for me, for you tonight. So just when we look at Sales Nav, there's a few glitches with my fonts here. Sales Nav is if you don't know, there's linkedin.com, and then Sales Navigator is just a completely separate resource and tool for people looking to do business through LinkedIn. It's got its own app, it's got its own home feed, it's got its own messaging, privacy settings and searches that are totally different to linkedin.com, the free and the premium. So there's 2 key things you need to think about. And all of this will make sense in a minute. But I just want to get through some basics so everybody's on the same page with me. So when you're on Sales Navigator, we've actually got 2 different things. We've got searches and we've got lists. Searches and lists. Now, searches are dynamic and they are based on the criteria. So if I create a search for all the managing directors in Plymouth, I do that search today and then save that search. If there's a new managing director in Plymouth tomorrow, they will be in that search. So the search is dynamic, and if you save it, it's updated. So you can search for people and you can search for companies. So there's account searches and lead searches, people and companies. Then we have lists. Now lists are very different. Lists are specific companies and specific people. So if I want John Smith, the managing director of XYZ, and I save him in a list, John is specifically saved. Now, if John decides he's no longer going to be the managing director and he retires, he will still be on my list. So why do we use searches and why do we use lists? So one simple strategy you can follow with lists and searches is this. Inside a search, you can search within a specific list. So you could create a list of accounts, companies, account list. Save that account list, so all your top target companies, maybe 100 top target companies. Then you can do a search based off that list. You could search for all the marketing managers within that list. And so you'd have a dynamic list of all the current people who meet your criteria at your target companies. So lists and searches are different. And as you can see on the top, the green sections show you where the lists are, and the searches show you where the criteria is. Now, why have I highlighted the home feed as where your lists are? Well, on Sales Navigator, you have the option, even if you're not connected, that any account or lead, company or person that you save as in a list will, every move that they make, post, engagement, news story, anything that they do activity wise will be populated on the home feed of Sales Navigator. So let's say I've got 100 top companies that I'm targeting, and then I've saved from those top companies my actual target people. So the marketing director, the managing director, the advertising director, whoever they are. So I've saved the companies and I've saved the people in a list. Now, my home feed on Sales Navigator, maybe I'll switch to it so you can see it. My home feed on Sales Navigator will actually be populated just with my target audience's activity. So we can see here, when I go into my Sales Navigator, hopefully you can see it on screen, I now have a list of all of the things that they've been doing. So I can see that all my targets, all my prospects, all of their activity is in one place. So I can literally follow up all of these people and engage with all of these people from one location. So let's say, for an example, Helen Rose here. If I want to, I can see that she posted a day ago on what she shared, and I could interact with that. I could do whatever I wanted to do. So Sales Navigator gives you the option of searches and criteria. Now, one of the simplest things you need to think about, first of all, is who do you want to do business with? Who are they? What's their roles? All of those geographic and psychographic and all of those things, demographics that you want to target. But what do you do with them? What are you going to do with these prospects to actually get a conversation going? So if I think about it like this, okay, I want to work with Arla Foods, say. Arla Foods is a big food manufacturer in the company. Who are the key players? Who are the key players within that company? So if I go to Sales Navigator and I go, okay, let's say Maverrik is one of my target companies. So here we go, we've got Maverrik on screen. Everybody can see that, hopefully. So here's Maverrik, and when I come to Maverick's profile, I can see, first of all, that Maverick's got 39 employees. I'll come to some questions in a minute. There's some questions we've got about Salesforce and what have you. So Maverrik has got 39 employees, and LinkedIn estimates that its revenue is between $1 million and $2.5 million. That's an estimate based off LinkedIn's own calculations. It's not necessarily it's not very accurate, to be honest with you, but that's where it says it is. Then you look at, there's an overview, so all the things that you see here are based on what LinkedIn's saying. And then when we come down to Sales Navigator, we see an account map. And this basically is where you can map all of your prospects into one place. Now, Steve has asked the question of how do you get the lists out of Sales Nav so you can use it in a sequence. So Steve and Celine and Deepika have asked about how do you link it to Salesforce. Now, these are two really important questions. So Steve, let me challenge you to think a little differently. So Steve, you're thinking about it so you can put it into a sequence. I would encourage you, Steve, to forget any form of sequencing, and I'll tell you why. You can build up a sequence of messaging, even automated. Practically, you can do it. The problem is any form of sequenced messaging, any form of automated messaging is never good enough. And I'll tell you now, and I'll give you this real world example. I'll give you two real world examples, then I'll come to the Salesforce question. I met a salesperson a couple of weeks ago who joined a company. And I couldn't believe that this had actually happened at the time, but I met a salesperson who said, I've been banned from LinkedIn. So I said, okay, try another account and start again. Week later, they shut them down. LinkedIn is getting pretty hot on permanently banning people who do things that are against their terms of service. And one of them is spam, and the other one is automated messaging. Now, years ago, we've all played with it and it worked when the novelty and LinkedIn was new, but now we can all spot it. Now we can all do it. The method I teach is actually get a conversation, and if you can get a conversation, you win the meeting. All roads on LinkedIn lead to meetings, but what sometimes we do is we forget there's humans behind it. And so I know many people, companies who are selling £200,000-300,000 services trying to automate it, and it's total madness. For the bit of effort, you can actually generate more. So Steve, you can get it out of Sales Nav, but LinkedIn will track it and they will flag you. And if you are a repeat offender, you will lose your account permanently. So I don't know how they managed to do it, but they somehow managed to find out that you were trying to make a new account and they shut it down. And I tell you now, in the way the world is going, B2B, LinkedIn is becoming a big chunk of that sales channel pie. It's so high risk to become persona non grata with LinkedIn. Really high risk. Yeah. To the point where it could write off a salesperson's career. So it could write off a salesperson's career because they permanently cannot get on the platform. So Steve, I wouldn't think about it in terms of sequencing. I would think about it in terms of you've got to train people to respond to you. That's a different thing, and I'm going to come to that in a minute. Now, when it comes to Salesforce and Sales Nav, there is two different versions of Sales Nav, roughly two. There is a slightly higher end one. The vast majority of people buy the standard Sales Navigator, but there is a second version, and the second version is called Sales Navigator Teams, and that allows you to link up with Salesforce and all the other CRMs that it supports. So there are plugins that do it. I have Pipedrive and I use Pipedrive with LinkedIn, but that's the key. Sales Navigator Teams. Now, Sales Navigator Teams unlocks a whole lot more, including content tracking. So on normal LinkedIn, you can see your views, you can see the companies that have looked at your post, but with some of the content tools you have with Sales Navigator Teams, you can actually track who's viewing the post. So if I show you this briefly here, So I'm on a tab on my Sales Navigator called Smart Links. Now, Smart Links is part of the Teams function. And as you can see, when I go into these links here, I can see how many people have viewed this. So in this one here, I've got selling on LinkedIn, analytics, and I can see who's looked. And I'm just going to scroll quickly, just from the point of view of not giving everybody's details away. I can see who's looked and how long they've looked. So I can see a lot of info just on how long people have looked. So Sales Navigator Teams is an additional resource. It's a bit more expensive, but it's actually really good at helping you do a lot more stuff. The other good thing about Teams is if you've got a group of you on sales team, what you can do is you can actually see who's the closest to leads, and you can share lists, searches and leads between each other. And you can reallocate people. You can reallocate people to different things. So you can reallocate people across the different platforms. Sales Navigator Teams is brilliant for all of that stuff in terms of pushing people around and seeing who are the most apt and optimal people to engage with. Now, when it comes to your sales process with Sales Navigator, yes, you can stalk and search and all that stuff. All of the magic to get the result, I say magic, the process you have to go down to actually get a result, a meeting, and that is your goal, by the way, with Sales Navigator. That is your goal. It's not to sell it through messaging. It's not to convince people to come on a call. The goal is a call. The goal is a result, the result of a call. What many people are doing, what tons of people are doing, are sending sales pitches, telling people how wonderful they are, and hoping that will convert. Or they're sending a series of messages trying to convince people to go on a call. What I want to share with you is about how you actually get people on a call. It's very, very effective. Does it take some work and practice? Yes. But I guess if you want a real result, none of us play the lottery every day to try and earn our living. We don't do that. But sometimes what we do on LinkedIn is like playing the lottery. And I see this all the time. I get hit up on LinkedIn, messages from LinkedIn trainers all the time. And we've got a checklist, real simple checklist. I'm going to try and pull it up. Maybe Jack can stay on me whilst I just pull up the checklist. And I'll show you the checklist because this will help you really think about it a little bit differently. And what we're basically kind of challenging you to do tonight is really think about, hang on, what am I trying to achieve here? I'm trying to achieve sales. So I'll pull this up and I'll have to scroll through it. So I'll move over a little bit. So what we're trying to achieve is a sale. Now, what is social selling? I could tell you, I could bore you for hours on what social selling is. Fundamentally, social selling is this. It's using social channel and a social approach to sell. That's it. So it's not cold calling on LinkedIn. It's not cold emailing on LinkedIn. It's an approach, a way of warming people up so that it's more effective. Now, you can learn this inside of a couple of weeks and become proficient at it in a couple of weeks, but you will have to fight your urge for now. Tell people how wonderful I am. And that's a massive addiction. So I'm just going to walk you through this really simply. And I'll send you this if you want to. Just, got it wrong, damn. Drop an email here and we'll send you this as a PDF. So if you want a copy of this, just email us here and we'll send it as a PDF. It'll probably be tomorrow just because it's quite late in the UK by the time we wrap up tonight. We've got another 20 minutes or so of training and then open Q&A so you can ask some more questions. So relationships are what create sales. People have to trust you. And this is where a lot of the messaging goes wrong because it's not based on trust, it's based on bragging. It's like, we're wonderful, we're amazing. drop some names, name drop, look how amazing we are. Hopefully that'll convince you to go on a call. It doesn't. Relationships will unlock more sales. Now, most of the people on LinkedIn, you will not know. The other thing is that you will have a pipeline you need to develop. And if you can't get them connected, you can't develop the pipeline. They'll ignore your email, all of those things. Guys, if you want the resource, email here. Don't put your email in the chat. Email us on the email on the screen, hi@maverrik.co.uk. So you've got to create relationships and you've got to build belief. You've got to build trust. Yeah, trust, relationships and being present, showing up on the platform, being somebody people know will help you build trust. Sales and business development is not analytical. It is not. You can't automate it. You can't analyze. Well, you can analyze it, but it's not an analytical process. It's not. It's a relational process. It's all about relationship. So belief is not just belief in the product. It's not just belief in what the product's done for somebody else. It's not just belief in your testimonials. It's belief in you as the person trying to create the relationship and have the meeting. It is about belief in you and the company. I always say, it's does the prospect believe you can do what you say you can do is one thing. Does the prospect believe you can do what you say you can do for them is another thing. And you can't automate or send messages that do that. It's about relationship. So we've got to build belief. Now, curiosity. I preach from the rooftops about curiosity. And you're thinking, Dean, this is a sales navigator training. You want sales, you want meetings. The tool is not the answer. The tool is part of the answer. That's finding the right people and having ease of being able to do all those things you need to do. It's the strategy behind the tool that makes it work, not the tool itself. Just having a big database is one thing, but knowing what to do with it is another. So curiosity is the thing that keeps the sales process moving. So if you're engaging with somebody, if you're trying to get a meeting with somebody, if you send them a message saying how wonderful you are and how many name drops you want to put in and all that stuff, and then say worth a call, or just following back, or just circling back on, just not sure if you saw my last message, all of that stuff has a success rate. It does have a success rate. But the failure rate of all of that kind of classic stuff that people do is higher than the success rate. And the block and the report and the spam and the don't contact me and the no thanks also outweighs the success rate. Now, in your head, you may think, well, that's all right because I'm getting sales and getting results. But there's a cumulative damage to your pipeline, to your prospects, and to the health of your LinkedIn account to continually operate a strategy where failure is more, the failure rate is higher than the success rate. That's a risk in your account. So curiosity helps things move forward. So creating ways where people can go, oh, tell me more, or oh, can I interact more? Not giving the whole game away really does help people move forward. Sometimes we think that actually giving all the information will actually help, and it doesn't. We actually have to create a conversation. So the key to unlocking your sales, the key to unlocking meetings is actually a conversation. So let's reverse engineer it and go, look at your own LinkedIn messages. How many of them started a conversation? How many of them were just you broadcasting and asking a question versus how many were starting a conversation? Now, when I come down here, believe people buy solutions to problems. What's the problems you're going to fix? Map those out, because if you don't know them, you can't talk to anybody about them. Belief is earned through consistency and visibility. Do you realize that if you send a prospect a message today, depending on the time of day you send it, number one, you could be buried. Number two, if they haven't heard from you, they're less likely to read it full stop. LinkedIn's open rate on messages is about 45%. The response rate is less than 3. So you look at those stats and go, I really have to work hard. If the open rate is 45%, but the click-through or the reply rate is less than 3, where's the weak spot in this process? Where is the weak spot? It's not, we don't have to accept that 3% is the success rate, because that means everybody's shit, basically. Everybody's crap at this. It's not true. We've just come to live with, that's the laziest way to do it. The success rate is more like 20%, 1 in 5. So if you're not getting that, your strategy is wrong. 1 in 5 reply rate is something you can live with, and you want to nudge that up, nudge that up, nudge that up. So how do you do that? So it is about the relationship side of this. So people buy solutions to problems, so focus on the problems you can fix. I will come back to some of the questions we've got through this session in a minute. So if you've got any other question, we'll do a little break for another question section. The bigger the sale, the longer the process. If you're trying to sell a £10,000 thing, you can probably do that in a couple of weeks. If you're trying to sell a £100,000 or £200,000 product or service, you need to put some work in. Elbow grease. You need to build those relationships. We'd all love, wouldn't we? Do you remember years ago there was a thing called the Rolodex? The Rolodex. It was just like an index card system that rotated on your desk and you could find all the people. Imagine your LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the world's biggest Rolodex. The barrier to you being able to leverage that Rolodex, that database, is the fact that none of them know you from Adam, don't trust you, won't give you any time, and everybody's on a level playing field. The only people who have an advantage with your prospects are people who know them already. So when we accept that universal truth that effectively the key advantage is a relationship, you then approach LinkedIn differently. Well, I don't know these people, so I can't just approach people I already know because I need to widen my pipeline. So go know some more people. Why do you go to networking? You go to network to meet new people, to build up a network, to go, can I get some business opportunities? Why don't you use LinkedIn the same? Now, I'll give you an example of this, because some people might be watching this going, no, I want my robot to do everything. I want my robot. This sounds like it's for small businesses. It's not for big enterprise stuff. One of my clients I work with on an annualized basis, we have an annual contract. This year, we have a target with them and their sales team for £20 million of brand spanking new business, 20 million brand spanking new business just by working LinkedIn, by doing a methodology a bit more in detail, but that I'm sharing with you tonight. It's not about automation, it's about conversation. Relationship advantage, that's what we're trying to create. Sales Navigator is a tool, it's a database, but now to leverage it, we need the relationship. So let's have a look at what we know about how to build a relationship, because that's what, just the final one here, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And again, if you want the copy of this PDF, we'll send it to you. It's free, absolutely free. So when I come back to it, number one, do not send the same crap to everybody. Yeah, it doesn't work. So research your prospect beforehand. Look through their profile, look through their comments, look through their posts and see how are they behaving on the platform, how active are they. Some of you, if you're not using Sales Navigator, are probably hitting people up who haven't logged in for months or weeks and you can't tell the difference. One of the big advantages with Sales Navigator, and I'll show you briefly now. Big advantage with Sales Navigator is when I look at the employees, when I do a search of anybody, in fact, I'll just do a broad search. Bear with me. So I'll just do a quick search and show you what I mean. So if I just look for everybody in my second degree network, yeah, so it should be millions. So in my second degree network, I've got 6 million people. And I can see 200,000 have changed jobs in the last 90 days. 39,000 have Team Link Intro. That's people who are connected to people on our Teams account within Maverrik. 3,000 have been mentioned in some form of news or press release, and 1 million have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. So what it doesn't mean is that the 30-day people are the most active generally. Not perfectly, but they're a group of people who are more active, so you could pursue these as your priority list. Whereas the other the 6 million in the top bar are just everybody. So we know that the 1 million here are the people who've posted, and we know that these 200,000 here have changed jobs, so they're relatively active. So we want to engage with people who are active on the platform. Some of you may have failed at this because you've been trying to talk to people who are not there. So this is just a real simple way with Sales Navigator where you can find the most active people and pursue them. So you've got to do the research, find the people who are active, check them out, see what they're doing, look at what they're doing, the messaging, the tones, content, the works. Do the work. If you want to unlock the sale, do the work. If you just want to play numbers and win the lottery, hopefully win the lottery every day, then keep doing whatever you might be doing. But if you want the relationships you need, if you want the sales, you want the meetings, you have to unlock the relationship. So do the research. Now, we know, because we've been doing this for a long time across social media, it takes between 3 and 4 interactions before you can ask for a meeting. 3 to 4 interactions. Now, where people go wrong is they send a message, "Hi, how are you?" Bit weird, bit vague, bit generic. They don't do anything to prime the prospect for a conversation. They're not doing anything to disarm them, break the ice. We call it priming. So they're not priming the prospect. So to prime the prospect, we know that it takes between 3 and 4 two-way interactions between the prospect about anything to actually get a meeting. 3 to 4. Of course, you can go direct and send a message and say, "Hey, can I have a meeting with you?" And if you send 100 of them, you might get 1. And you might get 2 blocks or 2 unconnections or 2 reports of spam. Just one other thing as well is when you send the same message over and over and over again to people, LinkedIn, you think, "Wow, this is fantastic. I'm sending the same message over and over again. I'm bound to get a sale." Once LinkedIn realizes what you're doing, and they usually realize about 150 messages in, they actually flag your post as spam. They cover it and say this message might be harmful or spam. And so you think, "I've sent 150 messages," but basically 60, 20, 30, 50, 60, 75 people got a spam message from you, and LinkedIn told them it's spam or harmful. The reason I know all this is because literally I've tried everything. I mean, when somebody comes up with a new strategy, a new harebrained scheme on LinkedIn to get more meetings or build a 7-figure business and all that crap, I literally try what they teach. And having been around for a while, I know what works, I know what has legs, I know what will see longevity, I know what will perform in the long term, and I know what has a cumulative impact. Because I know if you follow this process, nobody, or very few, tiny numbers of people would be burnt as a lead. Tiny numbers. Whereas if you're doing the broad kind of spray and pray approach, you will end up burning more than you win. So 3 to 4 interactions. So here we go. Let's just have a look at this. So research. Make sure you're targeting people who are active on the platform. Create a two-way interaction before you send a connection request, friend request, follow, whichever platform you're using. Then immediately, once they respond to that two-way interaction, so you might have to do a couple of them. You might have to do a couple of them to get a response. Send the connection request, connect with them. After that, thank you message. Again, no sales pitch. You need 3 to 4 interactions, not about business, not about your business anyway, to actually get them to want to agree to a call. And the more senior they are, the more interactions you need. So if you're looking for the CEO of a company that has 5,000 people in, you will have to do a lot more work than a small business owner that maybe has 2 employees. But the same principles apply: relationship, relationship, relationship. So you need a two-way interaction before you connect, send the connection, a two-way interaction after they connect. A little reminder here, and this is really important: never let the prospect forget you, but don't be a stalker either. So it takes roughly 7 to 15 touch points for people to remember your name. So content mixed in with all of this process is massive to help you. But also, if you're not organized with what you're doing, you'll end up in a situation whereby you can't keep track of where you're up to with people. And this is where your CRM, or again, if you want a copy of our 7-step tracker, which is just a stage, a simplification of what you would do on your CRM, you need this to keep track, because if you don't keep the pace of interaction up and have a steady pace of interaction, you'll end up where you'll message somebody on day 1, forget about it, and day 8 you come back and go, oh, did they reply, did they not? 1, you'll forget people in the process, but 2, people will forget you. It takes 7 to 10 days for a prospect who's never met you to totally forget you, like you're a complete stranger. Who is this guy again? Who is this person? 7 to 10 days. So you've got to build a plan that actually works, whereby if you're nurturing somebody, you're never out of their reach for more than a few days. And now I don't mean messaging them every day, hounding them. I mean making sure you're visible to them, engaging with their posts, engaging with their content, commenting, interacting, viewing their profile, all of that stuff that keeps you in their world, posting content so that they see you too. So it does take a bit of work if you want to really do this in a way that performs, and performs at 20%. Will it work at 20% on day 1? No. But will it do that within the first month? Probably yes. So on our accelerator program, we've got people working through this, and literally pretty much 90%, I'd love to say 100%, but that's probably impossible, but 85 to 90% of people have had sales in their 3 months, massively outweighing their membership of the accelerator, because they're focusing on the relationship. Their focus on that first focus is on developing their skill and practicing. Then they get into full swing, and then they start to see this really pay off, where it's not about sending 100 messages to get 1 meeting or 1,000 messages to get 1 meeting. It's actually sending like 5 to get 1, 5 to get 1. So use the content to build the trust, show value, speak in the prospect's pain. 3rd, two-way interaction. 4th, potentially if they're a bit senior. And then you can literally, you don't need to waffle about then, you don't need to mess about and say, I'd love to have a conversation, show you some of the things we're up to, are you free? And I normally suggest a time and a day so that they've got an option to say, no, that won't work for me, but can we do this date? And all the way through this process, you're mapping how long it takes for each stage, so you understand what's a good response rate time for each prospect. And we built a tracker based on this that you can have a copy of. Just email us, did it again. There, and we'll send you a copy tomorrow. So the key is you've got this big powerful tool of Sales Navigator. You've got all of that there at your disposal, but what you really want to do, what you really want is to find out and build the relationships that unlock the meetings. I put one of our new starters through this training. So the full-blown training, not just what you've got today, but a bit more in detail that we do through our elite program and our accelerator. And she unlocked a meeting with a global brand in 3 weeks. 3 weeks unlocked a meeting with a global brand just by following this process. As an aside, she's working on 4 other global brands that she's close to having meetings with too. All because we understand that selling, at least until robots make the decisions, that when a business owner employs AI to decide his business decisions and sales decisions, buying decisions, when AI takes over, we can forget all of this. Absolutely, we can bin it. Maverick's social selling methodology is in the bin. But until that day, you've got to convince a human to give you time. They will only give you time on the basis of a relationship, on the basis of their need and curiosity. That's the only reasons they will give you. Now, all industry stats tell you that there's only about 3% of people at any given time, 3% of the market are actively out there looking for what you've got to offer, 3%. So if you do an automated strategy of messaging 1,000 people, you will make sales, but only a small number. Where this is different is it's not looking for the people who are looking for you. It helps you develop the conversation so you can show people why they need you. And then they go, oh, this is interesting, let's have a proposal, let's work through that. It's far more effective and far more, from a brand point of view, a better way of operating. So we're going to do some questions. So if we can scroll up a little bit. Let's scroll up a little bit more. And yes, I'm sure I can. Maybe I can't because it's on screen. So first thing, Deepika has asked, can I give an example? If you drop me an email, I'll send you an example and I'll blur out the people's names to show you what it looks like, because it's far simpler once you get into it. It's far simpler than you might think. So I'll send them that. I'll send them that if you want it. The email's on screen. No, put $9 subscriptions, but difficult prospects like lawyers. I would focus on the content for low ticket items, low value stuff. Messaging, the amount of messages you'd have to send, you'd probably get spam blocked on the messages before you actually made a sale. Victoria Whitehouse, and then I'll come to Murray. Victoria Whitehouse has asked, should we connect with them and interact with them in the feed prior to sending a message? Yes, Victoria, the idea being is first interaction, once you've got a reciprocal interaction, that will mean that your acceptance rate on your connection request is 65% plus. So that's good for the algorithm, good for your health of your LinkedIn. It's totally terms of service compliant, so you're never going to get in trouble on that side. And then when you get the connection, you can send a thank you, low-key thank you for connecting, interact. The idea is you want a two-way, think of it as a response. You do an interaction out, they do a response. You do an interaction out, they do a response. You do an interaction out, so that could be a comment, it could be a like, it could be a follow, it could be an endorsement, it could be a message sharing something that you've seen that's not salesy. All of those things could help. Murray says, Murray, what I would focus on with the, here's a little trick, Murray. So C-level execs, with the exception of people in a number of spaces, what I would do is, Murray, I would focus on the EAs of those people first, because it's highly likely that the EA has got the logins or is running the account for the CEO. So I would focus on building the relationship with the EA and the CEO. That's when you get the very high acceptance rates. CEOs, you need to do the interactions to actually get the connection, definitely. But you could actually interact with the EA of the CEO first, because they're most likely looking at the account as well. David Martins asked, when you say messages, which are only available to connections, or do you mean in-mail? David, what I mean is, in-mail is good in the sense you can message anybody you want and you've got open connections. The problem is it shows up as an in-mail and people know that that's advertising. So I prefer to build the relationship, get the connected, continue to build the relationship by interacting, and then do it. How long does that process take? We call it the 7 steps. It's in our tracker process, the 7 steps of social selling. When you've done that process, they should be very responsive. Now, how long does it take? It can take, for a senior, very, very senior in a major company, it can take something like 3 to 4 weeks. For a small business, it might take 3 to 4 days. Really depends on the responsivity of the prospect, i.e. how often they're there, and your skill at this, which you would learn. What would you recommend as an alternative to hi, how are you? Well, Sam or Samantha, if you work backwards, you've already interacted with them on something else before you've connected. So when you follow up, thanks for connecting, you can actually reference your previous interaction. So if I've commented, Samantha, on your post about sustainability, I could comment, thanks for connecting, Samantha. Really thought you post had some solid points on sustainability. You know, glad to be connected. Dean, really low key. Shane, would you remove a sales sounding job title from your profile, such as business development, inside sales, and replace it with a statement like who you serve and how? Yes, I would. The answer is yes, I would, but I would leave it in your experience exactly the same. I'd just change the headline a little bit. Celine has asked a question about the Sales Navigator teams and the smart links. So what I'll do, if you're all not bored with me so far, I will copy a link and I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn profile. I'm not going to put any copy with it just because you guys are looking right now. So here's me. Just bear with me and I'll put it up. So if you want to navigate to my profile in a second. So I've just put this post up. If you want to go find it on my profile, go have a click of it and see what it looks like. Go click, have a look, and you can see exactly what it looks like and how you can leverage it. Josh, one of our team, Josh is one of our, he joined our sales team. He's been with the company for about 3 years. He joined 2 years, 2 and a bit years. He joined our sales team a couple of months ago. He did what's called a smart link of a free resource, put it up. He had 35 people access it. He followed them up saying, you know, I just saw you checked out the tracker. Would you like to have a chat? And he booked meetings off the back of it, straight through the content. So go have a look at this post. I can't put it in the chat, I don't think. But if you want to go look at it, it's there. And what I'll do is I'll flick back to Sales Navigator and see if anybody's looking. Not yet. So if you look for that post, there it is. Have a look at it, go through it, and then I'll see the tracking in real time, pretty much real time. Sam, there you go. Sam is looking there. So it's literally David Martin. David, I saw you in the chat. So it will update, and Sam and Jacob, so it will update in pretty much real time. And once you've finished looking at it, it will update, Natalie. It will update and tell me how long and what you looked at. So if I look at somebody further down, shows me that Mike's watched the video and he downloaded the slides. So I can see what people are doing and how long they're doing it for. So really simple tool. Wayne, I think we're chatting later this week. So you can see it's really, really simple to use. So this is what Sales Navigator's all about. Now I can talk to you a whole lot more, but we've got 4-5 minutes left. So if you want the free resource, so if you want the free, the checklist that I shared with you, just drop, I really need to get this right. Just drop us a link, email there, we'll send it to you. If you want a copy of our tracker, which might help you if you're not using a CRM, if you want something more handy on your computer, again, drop us an email. And finally, if you're thinking, guys, I'd love to know a little bit more about what you can do, how you can help me get sales and get more meetings booked. Not as a lead generation thing, but maybe you need some training, some extra support, some coaching from our team. Do drop us an email and say, can I have a call? There's no obligation, but there's a link there. You'll have a chat. They'll give you some tips. And if you think there's something we can help you with, cool. If not, just get the free tips. So resources are all free. You can have them. I would encourage you to try this. I would really, really encourage. It's a change of thinking, it's a change of way of doing it, but it will be effective. It is effective. It's just a different way of doing things. It's actually the most human way of doing things. And people buy from people. Any more questions before I wrap up tonight? Any more questions? Oh, I should say as well, if you want an example of what our messaging looks like, we'll send that to you as well. Just email us there and we'll send you an example of what it looks like. It's not a script per se. It's very much tailored to the person, but there is a general flow of it. We've got to get those 4 interactions to actually make it successful, to actually achieve a result. Going once. I'll put the email back up on screen, just so that if anybody wants it again. But if not, we're back again for another session. Next week, we're doing LinkedIn as a whole. So the normal LinkedIn, how do you sell, how to use content to sell, that kind of stuff on the platform. So if you want to join us for that, you can do. Terry, do I do voice messages? Yes, I do, but I usually do them again as part of the interaction. So if I see somebody's responsivity being quite low, their pace of responsivity is quite low, I will go more high impact with the way I communicate. So I would go to a voice message. If I see that their responsivity is quite high, I'll stay with text. So it really is about making a way that is successful and does not burn prospects. And again, if you've got any questions after this, you think, damn, I wish I'd asked that. Feel free, by the way, to come find me on LinkedIn, DM me, ask me some questions, and I'll do it. Sorry, I can't see the name. Shane, I'll give you the most honest answer you'll ever get about InMail. Yes, InMail is 90% of the time a waste of time because it shows up that way as a message request, and people go, oh, another one. You have to be really clever to make them work, and they cost a fortune, really, when you think about it. I mean, I get, I think 90 with my account, 90 a month. To make them effective, it's like sending cold email, basically. It says, Natalie, pleasure to meet you too. And we got more sessions. We do them every week for free with more stuff. So if there's no more questions, it's really warm in this room today. I've got 2 lights beaming at me. But thank you so much for watching. Do come find me on LinkedIn. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, please do the whole thumbs up, like, subscribe, follow. Really helps us with the algorithms, you know, those pesky algorithms that bury everything unless you're like super famous with 27 gazillion followers and, you know, $1 billion in the bank. Please do all that stuff. It would be appreciated. I appreciate it. And any questions, DM me or email us and we'll answer everything that we can to help you. But that's it from me. So thank you so much for watching. See you on the next training session on Tuesday. And don't forget,